Welcome to another session of E403 Distributed Generation and Smart Grid. In this session, we will see various islanding scenarios of microgrid. So before we proceed, let us see a quote by Lao Tzu. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So we are in module 3 now. Today we will discuss different islanding scenarios. So this typical microgrid protection scheme you had already seen in the last session, and this is another line diagram showing 3 feeders with circuit breakers 1, 2, 3 and a main circuit breaker at PCC, which is CB4, and there are circuit breakers for each micro source also. So microgrids normally have a capacity less than 10 MVA, which is very small compared to the utility grid. If the islanding does not occur at the PCC, then there is a major problem. The microgrid may carry part of the utility with it, and the microgrid will have to supply load or supply energy to the load in the grid. A shorter separation time in the event of a fault, typically less than 50 milliseconds, is preferred for most electronic or voltage sensitive loads, and it is very difficult to realize this with the currently available protection devices. So the issues need to be considered for islanding. First one is whether speed of operation of protection system need to approach the SEMI F47 specification. We will see it in the next slide. How to minimize spurious separations, whether non-fault separations would be allowed, and fourthly, separation protection limitations imposed by exporting microgrids. Exporting microgrids means microgrids which engage in power trade, which are already selling energy, and whether resynchronization to utility, whether it should be done automatic or manual. So let us see what is SEMI F47. It is a specification for semiconductor processing equipment voltage sag immunity. SEMI 47 specifies the required voltage sag tolerance for semiconductor fabrication equipment. So it requires that semiconductor processing equipment tolerate voltage sags connected onto their power line, typically AC power line. So they must tolerate sags to 50% of equipment nominal voltage for a duration of 200 milliseconds, and sags of magnitude 70% for up to 0.5 seconds, and sags to 80% for up to 1 second. So the whatever discussed before is shown as a table here. So you can see the voltage sag of 50% for 500 to 250 to 200 millisecond should be tolerated by electronic equipments. Now the different islanding scenarios we have to see one by one. The first one is the fast separation from the faulted feeder. Second is the prevention of spurious separation or nuisance separations. Third is non-fault separation, and fourth is the separation from exporting microgrids, and the last one is the resynchronization. In this session we will see only the first and the second. So let us move to the first one. fast separation from the faulted feeder. So the existing protective equipments are not fast enough to clear the fault in less than 50 milliseconds. But this separation of less than millisecond is essential for voltage sensitive loads, especially electronic equipments or PLCs. So a medium voltage breaker requires 3 to 5 cycles to interrupt the circuit after receiving the trip signal. So one cycle you must be knowing around 20 milliseconds. So 3 to 5 milliseconds means around 100 milliseconds. So a medium voltage breaker requires approximately up to 100 milliseconds to separate after getting the trip signal. So this 100 millisecond is not fast enough, or it may damage many voltage sensitive loads. So microgrids should have very fast acting solid state circuit breaker at the PCC or other means to prevent the voltage from falling below 50% for 3 cycles or longer. So the cases which we need to consider to design or improve protection is: number 1, when separation is not necessary, when separation is mandatory. So let us see the first case, that is when separation is not necessary. So let us consider 2 feeders, feeder 1 and feeder 2. Let us consider a microgrid is connected to feeder 2 and a fault occurs in feeder 1. So a fault occurs in feeder 1 will reduce the bus voltage, and reducing the bus voltage means the feeder 2 voltage will be reduced. So this might trip the circuit breaker in this feeder. So here when separation is not necessary, this is a case where separation is not necessary. So fault is not located between the PCC and the utility substation breaker. So a fault causing sag on a substation bus may occur on an adjacent feeder fed from the same substation. So a fault is occurring in feeder 1, but the effect comes to feeder 2 and feeder 2 gets tripped. So this is not a case where the separation is necessary. Separation is not necessary. So such types of trips are called sympathy trips. So a fault occurring in one feeder reduces voltage in the another feeder, and that is picked up by this particular relay tripping the second feeder. So this is called a sympathy trip. Another type of sympathy trip is load unbalanced sympathy trip. A fault occurs in feeder 1 here, and this make the return path for the current, and when the current flows through this relay, the relay catch the current and trip feeder 2. Okay. There are different types of faults you must have studied in power system. It can be phase to grid ground fault, phase to phase fault, phase to ground fault, or 3-phase to ground fault. So all these faults are having different effects on the power system, and the relays and the circuit breaker or the protection should act as soon as possible. So the types of faults can be classified into open circuit fault and short circuit fault. So in open circuit fault, again it could be one conductor open, two conductor open, or all the 3 conductors are open. And short circuit fault, it can be symmetrical or unsymmetrical. In symmetrical fault, it can be 3-phase short circuit fault or 3-phase to ground fault. So these are termed symmetrical. Unsymmetrical fault is single line to ground fault, double line to ground fault, or line to line fault. So in each and every case, our protection should act immediately. Now we will see when separation is not necessary. So one option of preventing sag is to install electronic sag correctors, but they are very expensive. Or replace the Y-Y connected transformer at the PCC by a DY connected transformer and adding a high voltage side breaker. What is the effect of this? So if there is a single phase to ground fault in the utility, DY transformer would ensure that the phase to ground voltage in the microgrid does not drop below 58%. That is very typical with DY transformers. I think you had studied this. If not, let us see this in the next slide. So when there is no open delta, the normal VL is equal to V phase in a delta connection, and the line current is 1.732 times the phase current. So the VA rating is given by root 3 VL IL, so which is equal to 1.732 into V phase into 1.732 into I phase, which is equal to 3 V phase I phase. So this is the normal case. And when there is an open delta, again VL is equal to V phase, but and IL equal to also I phase. Unlike here, IL is equal to 1.732 times I phase, here IL is equal to I phase. So what happens to the VA rating? VA rating is again 1.732 into VL into IL, which is equal to 1.732 V phase into I phase. So here it is 3 times V phase into I phase, here it is root 3 times V phase into I phase. So VA rating of open delta upon VA rating of closed delta is given by 1.732 V phase I phase divided by 3 V phase I phase, which is approximately equal to 0.577 or 58%. So if there is an open delta here, then this type of connection, that is delta V connection, will ensure that the output voltage does not go below 58%. Now if you employ a sag protector, sag protectors are expensive, but it can hold voltage for a maximum of 3 cycles. So a combination of electronic sag correctors and high speed relaying, 3 cycle relaying, should satisfy the SEMI F47 requirements for rapid fault clearance. Quick blow fuses along with an electronic sag corrector can be used for faults within the microgrid to meet SEMI F47 requirements. So that is another alternate. If the utility employs instantaneous overcurrent tripping of the feeder for fuse saving purposes, then separation of the microgrid will be required. There is no other way. Now when separation is not necessary, once again replacing the YY interconnecting transformer with DY is a cheaper solution, but is not effective. Now SEMI F47 allows voltage sags below 70% for only 0.2 second. So the protective devices of the utility must be fast enough to meet the specified fault clearing time. Now this DY interconnection is effective for only single phase to ground faults on the D side and for loads connected between line and neutral on the Y side. That is why we say that it is less effective. Now sometimes the separation is mandatory. For example, if the fault occurs on the main incoming feeder at the PCC, that is at this particular point, so the fault point is upstream to the PCC breaker. So in such a case, the separation is mandatory. The microgrid should be immediately separated from the utility grid. So we need high speed separation and utility protection requirements without maintaining even a low under voltage tied to the utility. So there is a need to develop high speed protective devices that meets SEMI F47. So now we come to the prevention of spurious separation, or we also call it nuisance separations. The main reason for spurious separation is the poor quality of protective devices. So unwanted separations. The technical standards specify voltage and frequency settings for measurements made at the PCC, but this does not find the exact fault location. So the only reliable method of fast tripping the PCC breaker is to have a transfer trip from the utility grid substation breaker. Even if you go for microprocessor based protection systems, they also face false tripping problems because they fail to locate the fault location. So here you can see a direct transfer trip. So one circuit breaker being given instruction by another circuit breaker to trip. So normally the substation provides a signal to the PCC circuit breaker for tripping. Now, spurious separation amounts to losses. For a single micro source, if there is a false trip, so it amounts to losing sales for a brief period. And again, another problem is the cost incurred in resynchronizing. So the system has to go through the resynchronization process. For a microgrid, a false trip leads to significant power quality problems. Because there is suddenly a tripping means immediately the voltage goes low, so the microgrid has to take care of the load dispatching, and meantime there is a power quality issues. If a microgrid has enough storage, then spurious separations can be tolerated. So if a voltage deviation persists longer than the allowable duration, that is, for example, more than 3 cycles, then there is no other way other than going for a separation. So the effects are unwarranted outages to non-priority loads, and for exporting microgrids, it leads to loss of revenue and trust. The trust is more important. If you cannot supply energy as per the contract, then it affects the trust. So we had discussed today the fast separation of a microgrid from the faulted feeder and prevention of spurious separation. The other 3 cases we will see in the next session. You can go through the details of what is a reclosure. So basically a reclosure on a high voltage electric line, most of the troubles are temporary, such as lightning, some tree branches falling on the line, etc. So what this reclosure do is, the reclosure will check for the line condition after a small time, and it will try to reconnect the line. So these are the typical reclosure pictures. So single phase automatic circuit recloser and a 3-phase automatic circuitry closer. This is a possible project which you can do. Please go through it, and if you are interested, you can go ahead with this type of projects. A similar project was done last semester, so you should make some modifications on it. These are examples of voltage sensitive loads, digital computers, variable frequency motor drives, PLCs, etc. And what is Goose? It is given here. These are some of the references. And with that, we end this session. Thank you very much. See you again in the next session. Thank you.